Question 1. A retail company runs an e-commerce platform that must be highly available across multiple regions. Database writes must be handled in a single region. Reads should be fast across the globe. Failover should be automatic if the primary region goes down. Which database solution best meets these requirements? Options: A. Amazon RDS with RED replicas in different regions. B. Amazon Aurora Global Database. C. Amazon DynamoDB with global tables. D. Amazon Redshift with cross-region replication. Correct answer: B. Amazon Aurora Global Database. Explanation: Aurora Global Database replicates across regions with sub-second latency. Failover to a secondary region happens in under a minute. Ensures high availability without manual intervention. Why not other options? Option A. RDS read replicas can have higher replication lag across regions. Option C. DynamoDB is a NoSQL database, unsuitable for transactional workloads. Option D. Redshift is a data warehouse, not a transactional database. Question 2. A media company needs to store and share large video files with global users. Files should be encrypted at rest and in transit. Access must be controlled using temporary credentials. Downloads should be optimized for high-performance delivery. Which AWS solution should they use? Options: A. Amazon EFS with IAM authentication. B. Amazon S3 with pre-signed URLs and CloudFront. C. Amazon FSx for Windows File Server. D. Amazon EBS with an EC2 instance and a web server. Correct answer: B. Amazon S3 with pre-signed URLs and CloudFront. Explanation: S3 provides scalable, cost-effective storage with encryption. Pre-signed URLs grant temporary access without exposing credentials. CloudFront accelerates content delivery with global caching. Why not other options? Option A. EFS is optimized for shared file storage, not public content delivery. Option C. FSx is for Windows applications, not large-scale media distribution. Option D. EBS is costly and requires EC2, making it less scalable. Question 3. A healthcare company is deploying a 3-tier application on AWS. The web, application, and database tiers should be isolated. Only the web tier should be accessible from the internet. The database tier should only allow connections from the application tier. How should the VPC be designed? Options: A. Place all instances in the same public subnet with security groups. B. Use 3 subnets: public, web, private, app, private, DB, with NACLs and security groups. C. Use a single private subnet with a NAT gateway for outbound internet access. D. Use AWS Direct Connect to host the application in an on-premises data center. Correct answer: B. Use 3 subnets: public, web, private, app, private, DB, with NACLs and security groups. Explanation: Public subnet, web, handles inbound internet traffic. Private subnets, app and DB, ensure internal security. Security groups control traffic between tiers, and NACLs add another layer of protection. Why not other options? Option A. A single public subnet is insecure for databases. Option C. A single private subnet does not allow public access to the web tier. Option D. Direct Connect is unnecessary unless a hybrid cloud setup is required. Question 4. A global SaaS company is launching a mission-critical application with customers in the US and Europe. The application requires low-latency access for users in both regions. It must withstand a complete regional outage. Data consistency is critical, but strong consistency is not required. The company wants to minimize operational overhead and costs. Which solution best meets these requirements? Options: A. Deploy EC2 instances in 2 regions, replicate RDS using cross-region replication. B. Use AWS Global Accelerator with EC2 and RDS multi-AZ in 1 region. C. Deploy the application in multiple regions using AWS Global Accelerator, Route 53, and DynamoDB global tables. D. Use Amazon S3 to store application data and CloudFront for global caching. Correct answer, C. Deploy the application in multiple regions using AWS Global Accelerator, Route 53, and DynamoDB Global Tables. Explanation. DynamoDB Global Tables provide fast, multi-region replication with eventual consistency. AWS Global Accelerator ensures low-latency routing to the closest healthy region. Route 53 provides DNS-based routing for disaster recovery. Minimizes operational overhead while ensuring high availability. Why not other options? Option A. RDS cross-region replication has replication lag and high failover time. Option B. RDS multi-AZ does not provide multi-region failover. Option D. S3 and CloudFront are for content delivery, not a full application stack. Question 5. A financial services company runs an API backend using AWS Lambda and API Gateway. Lambda function execution time is increasing due to cold starts. Requests peak at 100,000 per minute. The team needs to optimize response time while minimizing costs. What is the best solution? Options: A. Increase Lambda memory allocation and enable provisioned concurrency. B. Use AWS step functions to break the function into multiple steps. C. Switch from Lambda to an EC2 auto-scaling group. D. Deploy AWS Fargate for containerized execution instead of Lambda. Correct answer: A. Increase Lambda memory allocation and enable provisioned concurrency. Explanation. Provisioned concurrency eliminates cold starts, improving response times. Increasing memory speeds up execution without changing the code. Lambda remains cost-effective compared to EC2 for event-driven workloads. Why not other options? Option B. Step functions add complexity and are for orchestrating workflows, not reducing cold starts. Option C. EC2 auto-scaling is more expensive and requires manual scaling. Option D. Fargate is better for long-running processes, not short-lived serverless functions. Question 6. A payment processing company needs to securely host an application on AWS that processes sensitive financial transactions. The environment must comply with PCI DSS, Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. Internet access should be tightly controlled. Database access should be limited to the application layer. Which VPC design best meets the compliance requirements? Options: A. Place all servers in a public subnet and use security groups to restrict access. B. Use a VPC with public subnets for the web tier and private subnets for the app and database tiers, with a NAT gateway. C. Use a single private subnet and allow inbound access using an elastic load balancer. D. Use AWS Direct Connect to keep all resources in an on-premises data center. Correct answer: B. Use a VPC with public subnets for the web tier and private subnets for the app and database tiers, with a NAT gateway. Explanation. The web tier needs a public subnet to receive internet traffic. The app and database tiers should be in private subnets to restrict access. A NAT gateway allows outbound access while keeping private resources secure. This follows best practices for PCI DSS compliance. Why not other options? Option A. Exposing all servers in a public subnet is a security risk. Option C. A single private subnet does not allow internet-facing web servers. Option D. Direct Connect is unnecessary unless there's a strict hybrid cloud requirement. Question 7. A smart home automation company collects millions of IoT sensor readings per second. The database must handle high write throughput. Each sensor reading should be available within milliseconds. Data should be automatically distributed across multiple regions. Which database solution is the best fit? Options: A. Amazon RDS with multi-AZ replication. B. Amazon DynamoDB with global tables. C. Amazon Redshift with cross-region replication. D. Amazon Aurora with RED replicas in multiple regions. Correct answer: B. Amazon DynamoDB with global tables. Explanation. DynamoDB is designed for high-speed, high-scale, key-value workloads. Global tables automatically replicate data across regions. Ensures sub-millisecond read latency. Why not other options? Option A, RDS is optimized for relational workloads, not high-throughput IoT. Option C, Redshift is a data warehouse, not optimized for fast transactional reads/writes. Option D, Aurora read replicas add latency and do not scale as well as DynamoDB. Question 8. A DevOps team wants to optimize AWS EC2 instance costs. They have multiple development environments that are idle at night. The team wants to automatically stop instances when not in use. Some applications must be available 24/7 but should use the cheapest pricing model. Which solution is the most cost-effective? Options: A. Use AWS Lambda with a CloudWatch event to stop/start instances during non-business hours. B. Use Amazon auto-scaling with on-demand instances. C. Use reserved instances for all EC2 workloads. D. Use spot instances for all workloads. Correct answer: A. Use AWS Lambda with a CloudWatch event to stop/start instances during non-business hours. Explanation: CloudWatch events trigger Lambda functions to stop and start EC2 instances automatically. This prevents paying for unused resources. Only necessary workloads remain running, reducing costs significantly. Why not other options? Option B, auto-scaling is useful for load-based scaling but does not address cost optimization for idle resources. Option C, reserved instances are cost-effective but lock in long-term commitments. Option D, spot instances are cheaper but not reliable for always-on applications. Question 9. A healthcare company needs a hybrid cloud architecture to comply with HIPAA regulations. They have an on-premises data center and an AWS environment. Certain workloads must run on-premises, but AWS should be used for scalable web applications. Data exchange between AWS and on-prem must be secure and have low latency. They need to restrict access to AWS services only from their corporate network. What is the best networking setup? Options: A. Use AWS Direct Connect with a private VIF and enforce security policies via NACLs. B. Use a VPN connection over the public internet and enable S3 bucket policies for security. C. Use AWS Transit Gateway with a public VIF and security groups for access control. D. Use VPC peering between AWS and on-premises with IAM role-based authentication. Correct answer: A. Use AWS Direct Connect with a private VIF and enforce security policies via NACLs. Explanation: AWS Direct Connect provides a dedicated, low-latency, secure connection to AWS. Private VIF ensures that traffic does not traverse the public internet. NACLs, network ACLs, add additional security by restricting traffic between AWS and on-prem. Why not other options? Option B, VPN over the public internet is slower and less secure than Direct Connect. Option C, public VIF is not secure for sensitive healthcare data. Option D, VPC peering is only for AWS to AWS communication, not on-prem integration. Question 10. An e-commerce company runs its website on AWS in S East 1 and needs a disaster recovery, DR, strategy for S West 2. RTO, recovery time objective, must be under 5 minutes. RPO, recovery point objective, must be near 0. They want the most cost-effective solution. Databases should always be available. Which strategy best meets these requirements? Options: A. Active-passive setup with cross-region RDS read replicas and Route 53 failover. B. Active-active setup with DynamoDB global tables and Route 53 latency-based routing. C. Backup and restore using Amazon S3 and AWS backup for databases. D. Run EC2 auto-scaling in both regions and manually failover databases when needed. Correct answer: B. Active-active setup with DynamoDB global tables and Route 53 latency-based routing. Explanation: Active-active ensures near-zero RPO because both regions are always active. DynamoDB global tables replicate data across regions instantly. Route 53 latency-based routing sends users to the nearest available region. Why not other options? Option A, cross-region RDS replicas do not provide instant failover and add read latency. Option C, backup and restore is too slow, RTO 5 minutes. Option D, manual failover increases downtime and RTO.